Well, it was said last time that we were here recording this. This is the biggest Pokemon TCG Pocket tournament so far. Almost 1,700 players, you guys. About 1,690 for Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly number 4. And my friends, I know, if you've been seeing these episodes lately at least, you're gonna see, hey, we got Mewtwo decks, and we got Mewtwo decks going up against each other in a mirror-like matchup. There's gonna be a few things to address on that front, and so we'll get to that here in a second. Just want to say hello. Please subscribe, of course, if you like esports style or just like spectator commentary for Pokemon TCG Pocket. But yes, Sigphale on the bottom right here, player's perspective. Up on the top half is Mojosueco, and this is game 1 of the finals, ladies and gentlemen. Best of 3. We're seeing the interactive Mewtwo EX for Sigphale right here, going up against quote-unquote baby Mewtwo, basic Mewtwo, regular basic Mewtwo over there on Mojosueco's side on the top. Does have actually Mewtwo EX double timing it on the bench as well. So Mojosueco in good territory right now with 1 energy on Mewtwo EX, the interactive. But yes, as I was saying, you know, I can imagine there are going to be some comments about just sort of this current state, which is, yeah, Mewtwo on Mewtwo. It's like either Mewtwo EX or Pikachu EX, usually representing the top 2 of the meta. And kind of as we've been continuing on, Pikachu EX in a little bit less prevalence compared to Mewtwo EX. So yeah, the last time that we did one of these biggest Pokemon TCG tournaments ever, one of those spectators, I think that was last week. You guys, in the meantime, I've been getting a new PC because it's crazy. You wouldn't believe what is involved in trying to transition from Windows 10 on my old one to Windows 11. My old one was like a decade old, yet it was still running decent, just had a lot of like blue screens of death, kind of random things happening that a computer with age has. But now, I mean, I essentially have like 2 PCs. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Sabrina is played right here from Sigphale. And of course, Mojosueco now gonna send out that awesome full art Mewtwo EX, that alt art. Looks incredible as we see Sigphale now with the Gardevoir. Gardevoir, obviously very good for using the Psyshadow. You're gonna see that actually 1 energy is on Gardevoir, but then of course the Psyshadow's energy drop will go to Mewtwo EX for that Psychic Sphere. So Sigphale will give one of those. But yeah, that did create, just getting the new PCs and stuff did create a little bit of a delay for me. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. I'm back. I'm trying to get in the swing of things. Kirlia is drawn. And of course, for those who are new to this and how we do things, is we are relying kind of on other streamers to have their VODs public usually, but also just whatever their layout is. I make my own edits. So like for instance, on the right side, you're going to see the deck list of both of these players. That kind of blue background color, blue grayish for Pocket. You know, that's all stuff that I've put in here with the highlight cards on the left. But this like middle of the screen where the hands are cut off for each player, Ursiiday, the original broadcast, did present it this way to us. So I have no control over that. And so it does kind of cut off other things too, right? Like we can see the discard pile, at least of the opponent, a little bit of ours and stuff, but that's like cut off, you know, and then there's red kind of on the border of the screen. So, you know, those are kinds of things. Like if it looks sort of off, that's not me. I'm trying to fix it as much as I can, you guys. I sharpen the image and whatever else I can do. But yes, it does seem that finally we're going to see a prize point hit the board right here, and that's going to be 2 times because it was an EX card, and so Mewtwo EX, obviously not fun to lose if you're playing it, and that's why they do have sort of that basic Mewtwo, the regular one with 120 HP, sometimes can be brought in there like in the beginning to stall, to be generating energy on your other Pokemon, which now, of course, Mojosueco has enough energy. They can side drive right now, which, okay, it looks like they are going to go ahead and do that for the Oko, and that's like the Revenge Oko. Oko meaning 1-hit KO, you guys. OHKO, so there we go. Mojosueco going to be getting 2 prize points on that one, of course, for a Mewtwo EX, kind of leaving Sigphale in a weird spot just because, hey, all they got is Gardevoir right now. They will, though, throw down the Pokeball, and that is going to draw this epic golden Mewtwo EX right there. We're seeing all forms of that Mewtwo EX card, except for the regular old one. But here we go. Gardevoir, of course, can Psyshadow right now. Sigphale has to decide, you know, can we put that on the bench? Can we still win this thing right here? Because look at how Mojosueco is set up. Obviously, they don't have the Gardevoir yet, and so there is kind of, sometimes there's that like push to see, okay, well, which Mewtwo player is going first, which one's going second, because that's where the energy gets placed, right, on turn 2. But also, aside from that, it's like, who has the Guardy first? And so, right here, what we're seeing, it looks like the time limit's starting to appear right here. Sigphale needs to do something, so they will go ahead and place the energy just kind of naturally, and they will still have the Shadow ability that's still left to use. I'm curious, okay, I was like, why are they not placing down that Mewtwo EX? But there it goes, Gold Mewtwo EX, Shadow it on up right here. This does mean, of course, Gardevoir going to be able to attack with a Shot for 60. Mewtwo EX will not be able to take it out on this next turn. You know, even with a Giovanni, you got to consider that. You know, they don't have Gardevoir right now on Mojosueco's side, so there's not going to be an extra energy for that side drive right here, so it is just going to be Psychic Sphere. So that does leave Sigphale with this kind of other turn coming up next to do something. There would have to be a retreat of the Gardevoir, send in the Mewtwo EX, that gold one down there. 50 damage looks like it's applied right here. Giovanni now in. But yeah, so they will presumably, I would assume they're going to retreat this. We'll see how they play up in here, but, you know, obviously that would cost the game, of course, if there was a side drive coming up next, or Psychic Sphere with Giovanni again, like we said. But, you know, if there was a Sabrina for Sigphale, something like that, we should say, actually, the difference between Mojosueco and Sigphale, which you've been seeing on screen, but, like, we can now kind of call to it verbally, is just that you notice that Mojosueco has 2 Sabrinas, but Sigphale only with 1, and that's in lieu of having 2 potions instead, which Mojosueco has 1. And so it looks like taking a lot of time on this turn to think about. And so yes, ultimately the decision does look like it's going to come down to the concession, and so that is Mojosueco winning that first matchup right here in Game 1. We'll get that next game here rolling for you very soon as we can, but I should say the other thing that I wanted to mention kind of at the top of the stream is just falling behind on the commentary, was that I can imagine you guys do want to see some other footage, you know, not just the Mewtwo on Mewtwo's. I usually like to go for the finals, right? Like, I can't upload every single match every single day and stuff like that. I have a crazy life. But yeah, that's why I do try to target like somewhere above top 8 if I can, usually the finals if I can of any of the tourneys. Of course, it relies on who's streaming or not. And so let's see it, you guys. It's going to be game number 2. Mojosueco on top still. Of course, Sigphale on the bottom. Did draw the Giovanni. We saw at least has 2 of the Ralts cards right there to play on the bench. And so obviously Professor's Research going to go down for Mojosueco right now. Will put down an energy on that Mewtwo. Does not appear at least that they got some other cards to place on the bench, and if they did, they are lying in wait, you know, just lying at the ready. So there it is, Kirlia right here, and we did see that they drew a Gardevoir over on Sigphale's side down at the bottom. But yes, I do plan maybe to check back with this tournament. Maybe we can get, I know that there was like an Arcanine EX deck, I think it was like in the top 4 was Charizard and then Arcanine, so we could see like some fire on fire. We could see some other matches. But here we go, we're finally seeing the bench unfold right now. It's going to be Mewtwo EX double time again. We got the interactive, we got that full art, alt art, and so Ralts, of course. Now we're going to see the potion drawn from Sigphale, and so they do now evolve to Gardevoir. As we saw, they did have that, you know, there was no red card played or anything like that. And I want to say, you know, there's no problem if anybody's like, man, this sucks, I hate seeing just Psychic on Psychic meta, or Mewtwo specifically on Mewtwo meta. That's fine. That's why I do want to get, you know, some other matches and whatnot in tournaments like this, especially huge tournaments. But I also encourage you guys, you know, many times there may be a comment that says like, my water deck could beat this, or my whatever deck can beat this, you know, that's not Mewtwo. That's awesome. You should sign up on limitlesstcg.com. You can honestly just search Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly. You know, I'm always putting these things in my description, and the top pinned comment will have a link to like the whoever streams the tourneys. You know, we put those in the top comments. We put it everywhere that we can, really, to kind of ensure that credit is there, but also point you guys in the right direction. Again, I really encourage you to sign up. You know, like, I know that Ursiiday herself is going to start capping these tournaments, so no longer are they going to have like 1,700 players, you know, so you got to get in on it. You got to get in, register, and beat these people that are running the Mewtwo EX, am I right? But aside from that, you know, like, I think it's definitely okay. Like, I want to hear everyone's opinions, right? It's just when you guys are talking to each other, sometimes it can get nasty, you know, so like, just make sure that you guys are being civil and everything like that. We want to keep everything cool around here. Looks like that is going to be 1 point with Sigphale taking out out Mojosueco's little decoy Mewtwo, you could call it. Again, it's that regular old Mewtwo. And so they are going to throw down the Ralts right here. Mewtwo Interactive over there with the Mewtwo EX is actually, it is sort of at the ready. Would be for the Psychic Sphere. It's just, okay, now they're going to put down the X speed on Kirlia right now, and we'll put in Ralts instead. Likely, that can be your decoy. You can set up maybe the other Mewtwo EX as well, because you're going to see Interactive Mewtwo EX now has the 3 energy, so next time that it's played, it could potentially, it would have enough for the side drive, but Mojosueco could be looking kind of to the end game of this, where they want to then have the other Mewtwo EX as well with perhaps 2-3 energy and then play it for that kind of final energy. Now, the thing is, they really do need that Gardevoir. I think that would really help things, because you're seeing that every single time that Sigphale can play and do this Psy Shadow with that ability, there's just going to be extra energy generation. There's going to be at least a kind of that feeling of being one step ahead all the time. And so Sigphale can just kind of set that all up how they want. It does look like, considering the retreat, it's just that Gardevoir, you still have the Psy Shadow. You have a few options right here, right? And so we will see what Sigphale plays, because sometimes, again, I try to anticipate people's comments and whatnot, which bring them on. I always want you guys to comment on these things. I love that. I love to hear what y'all know about the game, and I do still feel like, even though the game has been out for a while now, it's like there are still pieces of the meta that can mature a little bit, and obviously then when there's new expansions and new promos and whatnot, new cards revealed, that could change things, of course, but this was probably a decent play. If you're thinking about it from that, what we were talking about before with Mojosueco, right, is it's like they may be trying to just kind of over-generate energy as well and stack that up on these bench Pokemon, specifically the Mewtwo's. And so if you think about that, Sigphale is kind of doing that strategy with this basic Mewtwo to, again, stall, to delay and be that kind of shield for most of the damage right now. It just gets a little dicey as everybody starts getting a lot more energy, when they're a little bit more powered up. But I definitely know, some people are just saying like, hey, this game comes all down to luck and whatnot. Like, Pokemon TCG Pocket still has room to grow, and that's what I like about this, is just, I do think it's good. I think it's good how it is. It's just like, obviously we are going to see this kind of perhaps stale Mewtwo on Mewtwo for a while until they can get these new cards and whatnot. But also, once other people start figuring out some other things, maybe, it's like, I think right now people are just saying, hey, it's Mewtwo and Pikachu. Those EX decks both are kind of dominating that top meta, and so Mojosueco gonna go ahead and knock out the decoy Mewtwo, that regular old Mewtwo, for that 1 point right here, which is what was the intention, right, is that it's not a Mewtwo EX, so you're not gonna lose that 2 prize packs, but Mojosueco gonna get that 1, and it's nice to have that Mewtwo out of the way. It's just that you do take that 2 energy for running a side drive, and so, you're doing good on one front to get rid of it, you're also sacrificing that 2 energy, when I know that Mojosueco was looking at having a lot of energy ahead, trying to get ahead of Sigphale, let's say. But right now, they both do have Gardevoir, so you're going to see Psy Shadow from either of the players. And so here it goes, okay? They were considering it. All right, so let's see it. Psy Shadow going to go down. They'll drop one on Kirlia right now. And they, of course, naturally did put in energy from the turn order on Mewtwo EX, and so we are kind of looking at like a similar game right now. Of course, Mojosueco with the 2 of them, of the Mewtwo EX right now, and there is a Sabrina card, and so that could throw a wrench a little bit with Sigphale right now. They're going to have to kind of weigh the options. It's like, okay, well, I don't want my Mewtwo EX to take damage, so you typically then have to think, all right, I have to put in Gardevoir, but this is what the problem is, right, is exactly this. It's happening before I can speak, is Mojosueco's Gardevoir is going to use the Psy Shadow. They're going to be able to side drive for the Oko and take out the Gardevoir right here from Sigphale, and so that does leave Mojosueco with just only needing 1 more prize point, and so, you're pretty much leaving Sigphale with very little options, right? So they do draw the X speed right now. I don't know, I think in the kind of earlier part of Game 2, I bet Sigphale had it. I feel like it's just kind of over time, not really, it fell off. Mojosueco, coming with the 2 Sabrina helps, I think. So, very good. It does look like, though, it is going to go for Mojosueco. I mean, hey, let's not call it completely, but, like, what else is Sigphale going to do, right? Sig has to pray for this another Gardevoir to show up right here. It's just, you're already kind of behind so much, I would think. And so, it's got to be kind of a painful way to lose the match. Okay, so we're seeing concede. Yep, it looks like Sigphale will come out with the concession. prediction, and that means that Mojosueco is going to win Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly number 4. And so, my friends, if you want to see a look at the standings and whatnot, we'll get those going for you. I know sometimes that's interesting for people just to see what was the trajectory to get up here, but like I said, you mostly just saw Mewtwo EX Gardevoir decks. Again, I need you guys to register if you really are better, if you got a better deck than they do. So please click an end screen on screen to see another one, and thanks for viewing.